We're going to talk about finding area of triangles and regular polygons, and I know we've done that before, but today there will be a little less information given, and we'll have to apply rules of trig to help us do that. Okay? So it's going to be a little different than the formulas you learned before. Remember the formula 1/2 AP. The apothem is A and the P stands for perimeter. Okay? And we have here a picture of a regular pentagon. Today, just 1 second. Today, all they're going to give you is, say, the length of the side, and we'll call it 10. So we'll call this side 10 centimeters. All right? And we want to find the area of this regular pentagon. And so remember, oh, my bad. Not what I meant. So you have something looks like this. Oh, I'm missing one. Yeah. I still don't have my act together. Here we go. This is what I meant to say. I'm going to approximate where the center of that is. How many equal pieces of pie are there on this pentagon? 5. So, what is the measure of all 5 angles? 360. So how do I find the measure of one angle? Okay, so 360 divided 5 is 72. Okay? So if I then put my apothem in there, okay? If I drew my apothem, then what would the measure of this angle be? 36. It'd be half of 72, right? 72 divided 2 is 36. So we have here then a right triangle. One angle is 36. So I know this length of this side right here?
5.
5. Why?
Because it's half the line. Is the apothem the center?
Nope, the apothem is this green dotted line I drew right here. The apothem connects the center perpendicular to the side. Okay? So this is A. And so this is 5. And so in relationship to this angle, what side is that? Opposite. Which side is A?
Adjacent.
And which trig ratio has opposite and adjacent in it? Tangent. And so we're going to say tan of 36 is equal to opposite over adjacent. In this case, the A not only stands for adjacent, it stands for apothem, right?
So W flip the A and the tan.
Yeah, so remember when the unknown's in the bottom, that's what Alex is saying, the unknown's in the bottom, so I'm going to switch places. So A is equal to 5 divide tan 36. Now, if you plug that in your calculator, round it off, you're going to get an approximate value. Once you do that, and then you use that rounded value in the rest of the problem, you potentially could have a rounding error. And if they ask you to round to the nearest tenth, the final answer, the nearest tenth, and you round here and then round again later and you're not at the right tenths place, it's wrong. Okay? So to avoid a rounding error, we're going to plug this information exactly the way it is in place of A. And so, let me move down so we have some room. The formula was A equals 1/2, area equals 1/2 apothem times perimeter. So that's 1/2 times the apothem, which was 5 over 1036, times the perimeter. We didn't talk about it, but what's the perimeter? 50. Why?
Because it's 5 sides and each side is 10.
There's 5 sides, and each side has a length of 10 centimeters. And so 10 times 5 is 50. So my perimeter is 50. Now, if I plug all that into my calculator now, as long as I enter things in properly, some of your calculators, be careful, some of your calculators, when you hit 10, they put a parenthesis there. Make sure after you write 36, you end the parenthesis. If you don't, then everything you write beyond that is going to throw into that tangent function. And that's not what we wanted to do with it. Okay? So don't do that. If you want to simplify, half of 50 is 25. 25 times 5 is 125.
172.
So we can get 125 10 36 over 10 to 36. Then if you plug it in, there'll be less chance of plugging it in wrong. I'm not saying you have to simplify. You can just plug it in your calculator the way it is. 0.5 times 5 divide 10 36 end parenthesis times 50, and it'll give you what?
172.1.
172.1 square centimeters. Okay? We couldn't do this problem before because we didn't have the skills to find the apothem. Okay? But now we can use our trig functions to help us find that apothem, that missing distance from the center to the side of the circle. Okay? It's possible they could give me the apothem and I'd have to use that to find the perimeter. Kind of work backwards. They give me this one, and I have to find that side, then multiply it by 2 to get this side, then multiply it by 5 to get all 5 sides, right? So it's possible that they could give me something different and want me to work backwards. So formula, yeah, you've seen it before, but how to find the missing parts is going to require your knowledge of trig. And don't forget, sometimes you get up in the night, smash your toe, spend all day soak a toe off. Alright? So don't forget that. Help you remember your trig ratio, sine, cosine, tangent. Any questions on that? It's pretty easy when I do it, doesn't it? Okay? After I got my act together and do my lines where I wanted to know, I didn't let us go in the wrong direction. When you're doing it and you aren't real sure where you're going, it's easy to go in the wrong direction. So look back at this, follow through, don't skip any problems. Get help today. Yeah.
Why is the answer for the area 5 over tangent of 36? Why couldn't you just turn it into a number?
It
It's a
is.
rounding error.
No, it is. What I said was, if you simplified this first into this, you'd have less chance of accidentally calculating it wrong once you got to this point. Now, some of you may not simplify correctly, but the problem is sometimes people say 0.5 times 5 divide 10 36 times 50. And they do that exactly like that, and then they get the wrong answer. Because they didn't end that parenthesis, it threw that times 50 inside the function. Okay? What I was saying was, if you reduced it first, there's nothing to do after that 36. So if you typed in 125 divide 10 36 and hit equals, it's going to give you the right answer because there's nothing else over there. It applies that parenthesis right here all by itself, and there's no problem, okay? So I wasn't telling you you had to simplify, and I'm not saying this is the way I want the answer, okay? I'm just saying that if you went back here and rounded this off, what would you get if you just did that and rounded the tenths? 5 divide 10, 36. 7.9. Now, when you plug this in, 1/2 times 7.9 times 50. Sometimes it's going to be the same answer. And sometimes it's not.
197.5.
197.5? Well, it's way different this time, isn't it? Did anybody confirm this answer was right? I didn't expect it to be that far off. 197.5?
Yeah.
I only heard this from one person. Did other people get the same answer?
I got, it's 172.04.
It's 0.
So that'd be 0, not.
Yeah,
Well, it's
I went
0.47, but.
Well, you just go to the 4. You look at the 4, and it's less than 5, so it stays at 0. So everybody agrees it should be a 0, but that's right otherwise? Okay. Do you see how rounding off in the middle created a huge error? I mean, I'm glad it worked out this way. It reinforces what I'm trying to tell you. Quite often, if there's an error, it's just a tiny one, but this one's quite major. There's 25 more here than there is here, 25 and a half more. Okay? So rounding in the middle of the problem can cause big errors. And so that's why I tell you, do not round in the middle. You only round at the end. And now that we're getting a little more involved in using trig, we're sometimes going to get some messy looking problems. Okay? So you have to carry it out until it's the final answer, and then you can round. All right. Using side angle side. Area using side angle side. Any triangle. This is not a right triangle anymore. Martin, you want to write this down. This is a really handy formula to find the area of a triangle. Okay? So it truly is very handy. Now this formula could be written differently. What's important that you understand here is if I know this angle right here, and if I want to use side angle side to find the area, then I also have to know the sides that are touching that angle. So all I need to find this area of this triangle is to know this side, and the angle in between them. Okay? So the reality is, if I want to rewrite this formula because I didn't know A, but instead I knew C, then I would say area equals 1/2. What two sides are touching C? A and B. So I would say AB sine C. Okay? Now, if I didn't put parentheses there, is that still multiplication? If I wrote this 1/2 AB sine C, isn't that multiplication? It is. It's times, times, times. It's all times. The only reason I put the parentheses in there is to emphasize that whatever this is, whatever C is or A, doesn't matter, whatever that is, the sign of that is a number. Okay? If A was 30, then the sine of 30 would be 1/2. It'd be 0.5. If you don't believe me, go ahead and try it. Sine 30, the answer is 0.5. Okay? The problem is, sometimes people take these two numbers and try to multiply it by that angle. That's not what this says. It's the product of the two sides times the sine of that angle. And again, if that angle was 30, then the sine of that angle would be 0.5. So if it was a 30 degree, and if, let me just plug in some what ifs. Let's say this was 20 and this was 19 and this was 30. Then I would get 1/2 of 19 times 20 times 0.5, which is what the sine of 30 is. Okay? And so I get 95, right?
Yeah.
All right? So the point I'm getting at, the parentheses really don't do anything except emphasize that that has to be a number, whatever that number is. Don't take the angle and do anything with the angle except take the sine of that angle. Okay? That's what the rule is. And if I didn't have A or B, but I had angle C, then my area would equal 1/2 of AC sine of B. Okay? So do you have to learn all three rules?
They're pretty much all the same.
They are exactly the same, aren't they? So what's the rule we need to remember? To use side angle side, we need to have
The lines
Side
next
and
to
angle on
it.
the side.
two sides and the angle between them. So I have to use two sides and the angle between them. That's what goes in here for BC sine A. Okay? Two sides and the angle between them. So here we have 16 and 18 as sides. I have angles of 64 and 42. Now I'm going to tell you right now I'm going to use this formula. Okay? So what do I plug in for what?
The 64 on the left.
Yeah, that's a 64, 42.
We need to find the bottom.
Okay, so we found a top one.
We need to find the bottom
74.
side.
74, what do you mean?
That angle up there is 74.
That angle up there is 74?
Yep.
Okay. Is that important?
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, why?
Because you can't
Compares it
use
to a
angle
side.
64 or 42 because the sides that we know are on either side.
Okay. Can't I just go Pythagorean theorem, find that other side?
Yeah. No. That's not a right angle.
I almost tricked some of you, didn't I? It's not a right angle. Okay? If it is, we don't know that from what was given, and as soon as we do a little adding and figure out what this is, we know it's definitely not a right triangle. And so we cannot apply Pythagorean theorem to find the third side. Remember, that only works for right triangle. So you're right, we don't know this side, but we do know these two. And so if we get the angle in between them, we can apply this rule. So let's go 16 and 18 and sine of 74. And so now you use your calculator. That's what they're made for, problems just like this.
I second that.
138.4 square feet. Okay? You should be practicing your calculator usage on all these examples, because if you aren't getting what someone else is getting, you can't sit there quietly. You have to say to me, wait a minute, I'm not getting that. let me know so I can help you use your calculator properly. You know on the test, I'm not gonna come over and do a problem for you because you don't know how to do the calculator, right? You know that's not gonna happen. So you need to make sure you figure out how to use it before you get there. Any questions? Yeah.
Tomorrow calculator.
Yeah. You gotta leave me something. Top drawer, right inside my desk. All right. That is true. I was gonna give you a quiz tomorrow. I didn't get the calendar together yet. I don't remember what the scenario was before when I saved this, but obviously I had planned a quiz before on a Wednesday and I moved it to a Tuesday. So in this case, you didn't know when it was. So just look at this part of it. Oh, let's not do that. I was thinking I'd highlight it. Quiz tomorrow. Okay? Assignment, just 1 second. Homework was checkpoint. Quiz page. Did I say 488? And then, lesson 9, 5, 1 through 32.